Hey, we're back. Welcome back to Judging Bouncy Balls. How you doing, Toby?
We're doing well, doing very well. Getting to the Christmas time of year.
You
Snowed.
ready for you ready for the season?
I think so. I took my wife around and drove around tonight, and she picked up stuff, bought stuff for people. I don't know. I just look for coupons and pay.
You just do what you're told.
Just I've been ordering a lot of pictures. We do a lot with Walgreens Photo Doc this time of year. So
Okay.
yeah.
So if they want to sponsor the show, we're open.
It'd be great. I mean,
We'd love.
we'd love. Maybe I can get 35% off of my photo.
That's awesome. Do you do the photo books as well, or do you just do photos?
What do we do? We did a poster this year, some wood panel pictures, some magnets.
Okay.
It makes
Nice.
it so easy. You just go on your phone, you click a photo, and you pick it up in like an hour.
That's awesome.
It's like
Yeah.
$5, right? And then you give somebody a magnet, and hopefully they don't throw it away.
Why would they ever throw your face away?
Right. Oh, they're not this. Trust me, they're not this.
That's awesome. Well,
What about
good.
you?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's been good over here. Have you guys gotten a lot of snow? We've probably gotten over the last week. Not only did we have some days canceled to school, but we got probably good 12 to 14 inches of snow.
No, you got us beat. We had rain, I'd say last Wednesday, and then it got cold, so we probably got about 4 inches. But
Okay.
getting back to the rain, my sump pump failed sometime Thursday into Friday.
It's exciting.
So, yeah. So when Macy, my daughter, went down to the basement, she came up and said the carpet's wet, which is just mortifying to hear. So I spent the weekend sucking up water and then ripping the carpet out and then dealing with insurance yesterday. So
Sounds awesome.
Redo the flooring in the basement. I'm super excited about it. It's like, and there's nothing better than the insurance guy be like, well, you've got about $10,000 worth of damage, but you're only covered for $5,000, so we're gonna send you $5,000 and best of luck.
So do you get to put the new floor in yourself?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, the talent lies somewhere else, I hope. So one of our listeners has any talent.
Is that are we doing engineered wood floors here? Are we going carpet or?
It was half and half, so
Okay.
we'll see. The kids like the carpet in the bedroom in the kind of the TV area, and then I have a bar area, but the only thing that was never built was the bar because God willing, I need something in my life. So it's it's a whatever you want it to be area. It'd be nice to salvage some of the flooring. So I don't have to redo some of that wood, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Mold and
That sounds amazing. You made me think of something that is a big pet peeve of mine, and that is if you do put wood floors in, do you have any wood floors in your house?
I do.
You do? Okay.
I'm in.
Awesome. And when that wood floor, do you have throw rugs down?
No.
You don't?
We should. This thing is, I think this didn't go incorrect from the get-go. There were some modifications that had to be made when we built the house. So,
see, one of the things that always amazes me is we have wood floors in our house, but they're covered with throw rugs everywhere. And I'm like, why did we put down wood floors if we're just going to put rugs over everything? Why didn't we just put in carpet? Well, the carpet is so warm. It's like, well, yeah, but there's things as a guy I will never understand, and that's one of them. The other is the 800 pillows on a bed, but it is what it is.
You can take them off and stack them exactly in the corner for the next morning. You put them back on, and nobody sees it because God willing, somebody shows it in your bedroom.
I don't know who we're showing off our master bedroom to, but
who's ever coming over when I'm gone, I hope he likes them, for God's sake.
Bless their soul, because I hope they enjoy the way our room looks. I don't know.
I want to just epoxy coat half my basement because I can get that pretty cheap. But
yeah, you know a guy?
I do know a guy, but evidently that's not high on the radar in the housing market.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. Well, Good luck with that. That's never fun. I used to work in that industry for a long time, and there was nothing more disheartening for people when you go into their basement and they've had water, and it's a mess. It really is. It is
Yeah.
a big mess.
Yeah, we'll get through. Actually, the damage wasn't considerable at all. It was very light. It just got the pat enough to ruin the carpet. So, in the grand scheme of life, we got pretty lucky.
Okay, well that's good. We'll enjoy Christmas break doing that. That's going to be great.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Nice. So today we were thinking we were going to maybe talk a little bit about maybe some referees and some experience that we've had with referees in youth sports, which always can be a lot of fun. I've seen a wide variety, and I know you have of referees. The from the student referee to all the way to the fully paid professional, and there's always been some good stuff there. So we were thinking initially that's kind of what we're going to do. We would love to eventually have a referee on, which we are going to do. That's gonna happen. It just timing hasn't worked out yet, and we're really excited to have Jake on, but we just haven't gotten there yet. So that's more to come. But we figured we start with this. So how do you want to start off the discussion around youth referees?
Well, referees, umpires, they're hated, and I thought a lot about it this week about why we hate them so much. And if you've ever donned a whistle or a striped shirt, you realize that it's no fun. I mean, I ref Y football. I played football back when I was probably 20. It was like I hated it because like you miss a call and the 6-year-old kid doesn't score a touchdown and dad's pissed, and the $8 I made was nerve wracking. It just wasn't. It wasn't. And then we see it at our level, even that we think we're all badass and our daughters are really good and we're winning games, and then you get to the field and there's two 14-year-olds ready to ref or ump our game, and you're like, can we get professionals? And they're like, you're only 14 years old. Nobody cares about you.
Nobody cares. That is true. Yeah.
But I was going to
No,
say, like, even the state, what tournament was it? Where the tournament this summer where we're filming, and I said something, and I forgot what I said, but I said something to the head guy in the middle of the field, and what did he say? He asked me if I wanted to watch from the parking lot, and I barked and I said it, and then I looked at I was doing something on my phone. I didn't even pay attention, but I look up and he's like dead-eyed me. And I'm like, what the hell? And then he's like, you want to watch from the parking lot? No. So I put my head down in shame.
Yeah, what was crazy about that is it wasn't like you were riding in the whole game. It was like the first comment you made, and he heard the whole thing, and he was just like, instant, you're going down. It was pretty funny.
He was ready for a fight, and I don't blame him. I was gonna find him after and apologize, but I just figured it could come off wrong when I tell him to pound sand as an apology. So I just decided to stay away.
Yeah,
really good at the club.
And usually we actually it's funny, we have a pretty good relationship with the ARs. So in soccer, if you're not familiar, there's the center ref, which kind of is in the middle of the field. And then you've got a referee on either side that watches for offsides and out of bounds plays and things like that. And they do happen to run right in front of the fans. And so we're often like joking around with the AR and like having a good time. So normally we try to keep things pretty light, but yeah, that guy, he was not in a jovial mood, let's say.
No, we've had some great times with the ARs.
Yeah, and it's which leads us kind of back to the initial, like, why is there always this tension between parents and youth refs? And part of it is they've probably had pretty poor situations where parents get aggressive or parents get a little too incensed about the sport, and so then they tend to become vocal and maybe not the most neutral in their viewing of how the game is going if they kind of feel like it's one sided. And you'll often hear that. I think when we watch games, it's like call it both ways, right? You'll hear that yelled out from there's this idea that the referee, some rando from wherever, is favoring one team over the other for whatever reason. I don't know why, as fans, we tend to think that like they're favoring one team, maybe unless they're a homer or something along those lines. But yes, it's just it's interesting how they become the villains very quickly.
What if you do one, like even announcers today, right? I mean, Green Bay hates Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. They're like they get put on our game, and everybody's like, "Oh, we got to listen to them, love them, whoever." And I'm like, if you ever really take time to just listen, like they're pretty non-biased, right? Their job is
Yeah.
to just, but they said one thing, like Joe Buck said one thing 10 years ago about the Packers, and everybody's like, "I hate Joe Buck. He's terrible."
Honestly, I'm with you there on the hate for Joe for both of them. When you are correct, if you just sit and listen to them, and actually last night there was one point where I was listening to them, and I thought that was actually kind of like favoring the Packers. But I'm sure you're not going to hear a lot of people like, "Oh wow, they've come around." They still just hate them just to hate them, and it's like I don't know. I'm fairly confident that the Troy Aikman hate comes from him being a Cowboy, and he beat the Packers in the '90s over and over. And it wouldn't matter if he was bowing down to the Packers and saying how great they were. People would still hate him because he beat us, right? And that's, I mean, why do I hate the Vikings? Because they beat us, many times when I didn't want them to. So it all stems from losing in the end. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I think he was quarterback when I drove down to Dallas. It was like 9-0. I think the game was. That's when Reggie White tried to fight the whole Cowboy bench that game. That was a different story. We drove to Dallas on a whim. Should have never did it. Had a good time. But it's the simplicity on the ref side. I mean, I was bored the other day and I YouTubed ref fights, and it was like people coming out of the stands to beat the snot out of the ref. I mean, it is like basketball is horrible. I mean, 1 second the guy calls a traveling, the next second he's getting a fist in his face.
right.
And I think that's the downfall of why we're losing refs. I mean, who wants to make $25 to ref a game with this? Everybody hates you.
Right. Yeah, and that's the part that it just goes from 0 to 100 so quickly. And I've seen it in some of the youth sports. I'll start off with one story that I had that I thought was really good. It was we were in a tournament with I think it was my daughter back when she played basketball, and again, it was a close game, which as a ref, that's always, it seems like if it's a youth game that's close, that's always the one you want to avoid because suddenly everybody's amped up, right? And there's the back and forth, and there was a couple calls, and then you hear the fans, at this time that was probably about 11 years old. So imagine 11-year-old girls, and you get fans like yelling at the refs as he makes a call. And it happened a couple times, and he didn't really say anything. And then all of a sudden it happened again, and there was a stoppage of play. Somebody called a timeout, and he just walked over to the fans, and he looks up at everybody's like, "Hey, we need some people to ref. It sounds like you guys are really good at this, and you're really actually involved, and you want to make some calls." He's like, "So $25, you guys go sign up. You can join me right down here." And he sat down right in the middle of all these fans, and just started talking to them. I mean, just right in their face, like, "Oh, you think you can call it better? Okay, well let's do it." And I actually really respected him because he didn't back down and just take it. He actually went right at him, and it was so hilarious to watch. I was just cheering this guy on afterwards. I'm like, good for him. I mean, he's not going to just sit down and take it. And anytime after that, people make like if he made a call and then they'd go after him, he would just give it right back. I'm like, good for this guy. He wasn't taking any prisoners.
Right, and it's like society believes if they yell at the ref, they're not supposed to take it. Like there's nothing that should come back at them, which I think that's great. You might as well yell at the parents. I mean, the parents are terrible. Parents are the reason we're probably in a debacle of youth sports that we are. I mean, you listen to some of this youth baseball too. I mean, balls and strikes. I mean, they're chirping from the right field line about balls and strikes. I mean,
which is crazy. I actually saw a story today. It just came through my feed, and it was about a 16-year-old umpire, and he made a call, which they said even in the title or whatever that video proved that he made the correct call, and the parents followed him to his car in the parking lot and were trying to go after him. Like, what are you doing over a youth baseball game? I was like, what is happening? Why do you care so much? I mean, that scholarship wasn't won or lost in that game. Whatever, 12-year-old we're talking about.
Nothing was. But on the good side, did you watch the World Cup final Sunday?
I did.
I thought, first off, one of the greatest sporting events I've ever seen.
It was awesome.
It was awesome. And even if you didn't like soccer, I don't know how you could not like this. It had everything you needed. But they talked about the ref or the head guy, and he killed it. Like, there was not one person could say anything bad about the guy, and he just had control. He called it the same way. But man, we were watching it till the end. It was kind of fun. I didn't even care the Bear game got going late. No, nobody cares about the Bears anyways, but it was nice that they finished it, because I thought, man, what a great event.
Yeah. No, that was really fun. And that's a great example of a game where the referee, and I think this is what a lot of people are looking for, is maybe the referee is not the center stage. And I think that's where sometimes people get a little frustrated, is if they feel like they're too involved in the game, in that, maybe they're influencing the outcome of the game either way. And in that game, he was definitely making calls, but you never got the feeling that he was taking over and it was about the calls. The reason why the game was going the way that it was about calls he made. Now, he made, what was it, 2 penalty kicks or 3 penalty kicks? And they were all legitimate, right? They were good calls. There was no argument. I think I remember even the announcer saying, that's 100% a penalty kick. Like, It's going to be. And I think that's where it, as a fan, you look at it and you're like, it's nice to see the referee is there doing what he's supposed to be doing, or she, but they're not making it about them. And I have seen referees do that. I mean, where it becomes about them. And so I think that's why that was such a really interesting game to watch, is it all got decided on the field, and you never felt like the game was being taken over by the crew, the referee crew.
Right. No, and that you can always tell the narrative the next day if you watch the Giants-Washington game, Sunday night game.
Yes.
Monday morning, nobody's talking about the game. It was all about the refs and the bad and the bad calls, the simple calls they missed, and then they kind of really screwed over the Washington. So you go from talking about the sport to bad refs, and again now you paint a terrible light again. And I just don't know how they don't, like, the simple things they get wrong. That's the flabbergasting part. I get, for our games, you get an offsides that might not have been offsides or something, or a penalty, but this is professional football. These guys are making pretty good money.
Yeah. Well, and I think the only thing I would add to that is, you said you've reffed, right?
Yeah.
At super high level, I'm assuming.
6-year-old YMCA flag football. So yes, I don't know how it gets.
So top tier.
It's flag football pro.
Right. I've done some reffing as well. I reffed some college flag football, which was interesting. And then I also reffed some high school flag football, and then I've also done some other football events as well that I've reffed. The one thing I will say about it is, when the game is moving, and that's only flag football, when the game is moving really quick, you have to make some pretty snap decisions. So I give a lot of credit to referees, and it's one of the things I have a little bit of sympathy for, is things happen really quickly, and sometimes it's hard to see exactly what happens. And that's what I remember when just even doing the little bit of reffing that I've done, is you'll see something and you're like, man, I think that was, I remember once I even saw it and I was pulled for the flag, and then I was like, oh, I don't think so. You have those little moments where you're not sure exactly what you just saw, or maybe you think you know what you saw. So I understand sometimes the indecision that happens, and I have some sympathy for them in that regard. So I like I said, I do get it. It's just but I'm with you. If you've done it, and I've only done it a little bit, I feel like if I would have done it for, a career and got to the point where I was at a professional level, I feel like I would probably have worked through some of those kinks.
Well, right. Well, and I know they talk about the purity of the game, so they don't use a lot of replay.
Hmm.
But at the professional level, for a football game to be decided, that's why I think college gets it great, right? The booth calls all their reviews, and you can
Hmm.
challenge some reviews. But the pros in like baseball, and I don't want computers running baseball because I think that takes the element out of it. But there are some plays where then you watch the replay booth, and they seem to still get it wrong, and it's like like it's very
Right.
interesting. But then again, I'm a biased person sitting on my couch rooting for the Brewers. So if it's against the Brewers, I'm like, oh, it's got to be wrong.
Yeah. And obviously in youth sports, they don't have the benefit of replay, at least not yet, but it's still one of those areas that, yeah, I think sometimes you'll get a crew. I've watched one recently where it's, man, you're really grateful for the way that they referee or umpire the game. And then sometimes I've seen, man, I saw a high school soccer game a couple of years ago, and there was a referee that not only was he making calls, which is fine, like make the call, but he would like grandstand the call, which was crazy. I've never seen anything like this. And apparently I did some research on this guy, and he's notorious for this. And what I mean by grandstanding is he would make the call, and the player, you know how usually if they give him a yellow card, if you've watched soccer, they give it, and then the player kind of turns and walks away, right? That's the end of it. And that's kind of where it ends. This guy was crazy. He would do the yellow. The guy would kind of turn, and he would chase the player down, get in his face again, and then like try to like really get it in his face. And it's like, dude, just let him go. Like, what are you trying to do? And he would literally chase guys down and do this over and over. And it was always about him. You could tell he wanted to make it known that he was giving. It's like, dude, just make the call, move on, let's be done with it. And then there was a time where a guy, he like called them back onto the field, so they had to stand in front of him while he gave him some spiel about the foul. And it's like, I don't know, it's just those are situations where you can tell he's making it about him. And when I asked some people that knew the referee a little better, they're like, yeah, this guy does this all the time. He's notorious in Central Wisconsin for doing this. And it's like, oh, I don't know. It's just odd to me because you get some really good refs, and I've seen some really good ones. But then occasionally you just get some that are just really interesting. And I think that's where fans sometimes get a little on the refs is they're a little sensitive to that. And as soon as they feel like they see somebody doing that, then they really ride them. And so then that creates this really toxic relationship of fan and referee. So
well, I think
I don't know.
everybody's got an opinion. So if your parent is stating your opinion, the ref needs to be just the water off the back, right? Like, oh, he didn't see what I saw. I made the call. But it's like some of these people, like you watch the news and there's a ref shortage and the refs are getting beat on and the refs are bad. But some of them take it the minute you say something, like the guy in our soccer game, he had to fight me back. I mean, I didn't ride him. I just made I think I asked him to call it both ways in probably a different tone, but I didn't follow up with it. And then he was going to get on top of me right away with watching it from the car. And it was the fact of, I could see if we're 40 minutes in and I've been nothing but screaming at the guy.
Right.
But it was a comment made. I think sometimes now these refs get a little over their skis thinking they got to fight you at all costs.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy fighting. So that's the only reason I backed down. I could have taken him. I knew it. I knew I could have taken him.
Very confident that we could have taken him. Yeah, it's interesting because I don't know where it ends, and I think we've talked about some of the nervous energy on the parent sideline, especially in club sports where you have a lot of where it's only parents. I think you see a lot of parents really they want their kids to win, they want their kids to do well, and as soon as they feel like somebody else is maybe preventing that from happening or maybe not calling enough fouls or, then that in itself is presenting or preventing their player from doing well. I think that's where you start to get, people chirping at the refs. And so they're really in a tough spot because parents are kind of on heightened edge. And then you've got obviously good teams playing each other. And so then things happen, right? And so we get this situation where refs are probably a little more on edge as well because they hear things, or they maybe earlier that day, we don't know, maybe he was reffing a game and somebody was giving him grief, and so now he's going to take it out on you, right? He's human, that's just the way it is.
I get it,
and I totally understand it. Like, I've had people come after me before a little bit, even when I was just doing flag football. I'm like, I will say this: it doesn't make me want to do anything call wise for that.
I've swallowed the whistle a few times.
Yeah.
But
if it's close, or because we're all human.
We all got enemies.
Right.
But I don't understand. So we have a ref shortage, right? And we struggle to get the WIA struggles to get refs for even football.
Yep.
So did you read that they're going to go with kind of more of a loser's bracket now? It's a bad term, but if you don't make the playoffs in the WIA football, you're going to go play other teams that didn't make the playoffs? Kind of a loser's bracket?
Really? I did not see that.
I read an article on that, and the first thing that came to mind was, who's going to ref these games? Because you got playoffs going on. They all want to ref in the playoffs because that's kind of a big deal.
So does that mean everyone is going to be playing in the postseason?
I think they're going to everybody's going to get a sniff at a couple, like an extra game or two.
Huh. Interesting. That would be, if we could ever get our other guest locked down, that would be a great question to ask.
It's kind of hanging on to it. So that's a teaser.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah. Guests are going to start coming. We need some more listens and some more follows.
Yep.
Once we take.
No, that's one that's going to happen. It's just making the schedule work. Yeah, no, that's I didn't hear about that, but I guess it's no different than like you've got in a weekend of high school football. There's all those teams are playing anyway, so there must be refs out there. In the playoffs, you actually have less games. Do you think that there's more ref availability? I would assume then if you could still find the refs, but you're correct. And refs are hard. We've had a couple games where we were this close to canceling here at Spash, where we almost didn't have refs. Even tonight for the hockey game, you have to have 3 to start a JV game. We almost had our third ref back out today because of some personal things that happened, and we were lucky enough that he was able to still come. But it was funny because he got there late tonight, and I'm like, I went up to him. I just said, "Hey, thanks for coming." I'm the game manager, so I got to talk to him. And I said, "Hey, thanks for coming. We really appreciate it." And he's like, "It's not often where you can show up late," because he got there like 10 minutes late, and people are thanking you. And I'm like, "Hey, we're just glad you're here," honestly, because without him, we're not able to start the game. And JV doesn't play, so that's not a good situation for the kids. We had to shorten the game a little bit, but hey, that's better than not playing at all. So,
100%.
So it's one of those things where, I think there needs to be some, I guess where I was going with this, there needs to be some appreciation for it. And he even acknowledged that that's the world we live in. There's a shortage of refs. So you kind of are just grateful for whoever shows up at that point, good or bad. And he was good. Don't get me wrong.
Sure. You're just praising him because he showed.
No, he was. He was good.
And your team won, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But nowadays, you don't even know if the bus is going to show up, right? I mean, there's bus driver shortages. Like, everything revolves around that used to be taken for granted now. It's just completely up in the air. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's a crazy world. I mean, it was funny that we were actually wrestling with that as a district, and one of the ideas that came up was like, well, hey, why don't we have the coaches get their license, their CDL? They could drive the bus because they're going there anyway. They get to get paid while they drive there, so they get a little bit of extra. And somebody made the comment, I don't even know who it was, but somebody made the comment of like, well, then they're double dipping. It's like, do we really care at this point? If they're double dipping,
somebody.
we're paying somebody. We might as well pay the person that's going there. I don't think it really matters as long as we get somebody that's a professional to take them from point A to point B. Yeah, they're double dipping. So what? Good for them.
People are beauties, right?
Like, I don't know. It's just one of those things.
It amazes me that would come out of somebody's mouth. Out of all the things to say, that I'm pissed the guy's getting paid extra to do extra.
Right. As we talked about from a coaching perspective before, all the massive amounts of money you bring in as a coach, as a high school coach, those hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. Oh, God bless him.
Anyways, yeah, kind of funny.
But I was going to say, kind of a follow into a different sport, but did you see the young man that's 12 years old with the mustache?
Oh, this is unbelievable. Okay, so if you have not seen this, you need to Google this. I'll bring it up and put it up on the screen here. Yeah, I did see this. It's funny you brought it up when you asked me about it. I had seen some of the hubbub around it, but there is a 12-year-old football player. Let me share the screen here. His name is Jeremiah Johnson. I don't know if that could be more of an original name or a generic name, but Jeremiah Johnson is a 12-year-old, I kid you not, football player with a tattoo and a full mustache, better than probably Toby can grow. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
I cannot grow one.
I mean, look at this guy. When you look at this guy initially, you're like, wait a second. He looks like he's 26.
Yeah.
And the best part about this was that some of the comments on Twitter or whatever were basically saying, this guy is not 12. He's a 35-year-old man with 2 kids and a wife.
It's Danny Amante, right? From the Little League World Series.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
He played for Cuba. Hit
Yep.
the ball a mile. Come to find out, he was like 38. But this is just, and you would think that every time a guy plays, he's getting checked over. But, I mean, look, he could buy beer. He could buy a pack of Marlboro Lights and a 6-pack of Busch Light, and nobody'd be like, can I have your ID? I mean,
nobody'd think anything of it. I mean, honestly, if you looked at this photo right here on the screen, to me, that looks like a UWSP pointer. They're purple and gold.
Yep.
He looks like a college kid. It's unbelievable, but apparently he's had his. I mean, I'm sure this is not the first time people have thought he's older than what he really is, and so he's had to have his birth certificate in tow, from what I've gathered. But yeah, he's 12 years old, and apparently he's the best player in his league, which also makes people question, I think, a little bit, his age. It's because of how good he is.
When he picks the team up in his Ford Cordova, he drives them to the team. Maybe he could drive the bus.
Maybe. But if you look at this picture right here, it says 12U Division I National Championship.
Can you imagine putting your son up against him and being like, ooh, good luck, kid?
I mean, I've seen some well-developed kids before. I've never seen a 12-year-old with a mustache. That's pretty amazing.
Let's ask this question. This young man is on a team, and his team dominates, right? I think that if you watch the video, I think they give him the ball, and he just runs over people.
Yes.
So should the coach be coach of the year, or is it just a good team? I call it the Phil Jackson syndrome.
Right.
Everybody thinks Phil Jackson's amazing. He probably might be, but he's coached the greatest players on earth. I feel like I could have coached a little bit.
Yeah, you give me Pippen and Jordan and Rodman. I could probably do okay.
Yeah, and then he went to Kobe, Shaq. I mean, he never coached the '86 Bucks to a championship. I mean, Paul Sigma and Jack whoever. I mean, these guys are terrible, but
that would have been impressive.
About that, yeah. But if you check out this 12-year-old, he is. No, that's all right.
I was just going to say I might be able to show a video here. I don't know how well this will work. We're trying things live here. Let's try this. Apparently, this is him.
Texas versus Florida. Kick is up. 30 yards on return. 23-0.
So apparently he can tackle pretty well too. So I don't know.
He kicks his longest field goal is 62 yards. That's just a man child.
Maybe.
Did you see that tackle? Holy buckets!
Yeah. So he's a pretty good player apparently.
Oh, but if you look at the at Oregon, at USC.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yep.
They're trying to, yeah. I'm sure somebody's looking to sign him. Oklahoma, Michigan.
Yeah.
CSP pointers.
Yeah. And then IMG Academy, that's like where all the big stars go. Cowboys, so you go, that's Oklahoma. Yeah. I mean, bless his heart. I hope he gets everything he wants. I mean, he's chasing the dream, but he looks like he really advanced past every other 12-year-old.
Because he's 18.
And not to change the subject here, but I just noticed that this over here. So, we're going to move on from that.
Yeah. You can YouTube that too.
Yeah, that's a whole different topic. I will say this though, they are pretty brazen to do that in Qatar,
right?
Because that could get you in some serious trouble in Qatar.
You could end up dead of the,
Yeah. Anyways,
but
if you did not see that,
great topic too would be great sports scandals. Like, I'm not talking Shoeless Joe, but I'm talking like Danny Amante and things that like just people cheating to win.
Yeah. That could be a good time.
Just real uplifting.
So, and if you're wondering about that story, basically the long and short was there are two rather attractive ladies that decided to expose themselves at the World Cup final. And there's quite a bit of video, and they were highlighting that on the side.
Absolutely disgusting.
Disgusting. We are not going to show that filth on this podcast ever. That's for you to search out on your own.
Unless we need ratings, then we'll show it every time.
Unless we need views, and then we will do whatever we need to do. So it's interesting that, but yeah, back to your point about the scandals, that would be actually a kind of a neat one, especially if you did it in youth sports. The Tony Amante one, I think it was Tony or whatever his name was, that Danny Amante, that'd be a pretty fun one to explore. But yeah, that was. Did they end up proving that he indeed was like way older?
Yeah. They finally tracked down his true birth year, and he was like 2 years older. I think you can be up to 12. I think he was 13 or 14.
Okay.
Hitting bombs though, man. That kid could play. And it's funny. All these kids that are phenoms at this age, they never go on to much. Very rarely do they play big time college or professional ball.
Right.
It's usually like this kid will get caught, right? I mean, he's not going to grow bigger. Well, you don't know, but everybody else catches him. So all of a sudden he's equal, and then he's used to winning all the time. He turns into starts smoking Marlboros. The next thing you know, he's kicked off football and he's working at McDonald's. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's amazing. These kids, you think this kid, I mean, look at the caption or Auburn University football. It'll be interesting if he even goes to college. Just based on, because they never really pan out because they are so front end loaded that they don't continue to get better.
Yeah, and it's funny you bring that up. I have seen, there was one kid that I saw locally, and I followed him for a while because my son was, in the same vicinity, so I always got to kind of see him play. And he was really, really mature for his age, and he was so much better at a young age than everybody else. And then as I've seen him progress through, now he's in high school, and he's just another one of the kids. And he's not so physically dominant anymore because everybody else caught up. And, so you are correct on that. And I've seen that happen on the girls' side too, where a girl was, really dominant because she was just bigger than everybody. And in the end, everybody else caught up, and then if their skill set doesn't really advance, they're not that much better. So then they just kind of become another player. So it's kind of interesting. You're exactly correct on that. That does happen, and I'd be curious to see what happens with this Jeremiah Johnson if that ends up happening to him. I don't know.
I think they're going to find his birth certificate. I really do.
So you're not buying the 12-year-old?
Well, he's got to be 12, right? I mean, there's enough scrutiny for them to be national champions. You know how many parents are pissed off that he's on the national champion team, not that. And I go back, I coached 7th and 8th grade. I ran a football program, and we used to play Kiwani, which is a farming community. And these kids drove. They were 8th grade. They drove. They had farmers' licenses. And one kid came through. He had a mustache. So I'm like, he was pretty good, right? I mean, he was a farmer. So he was tough as nails, but
right.
I was just flabbergasted. I watched two of them get in their car and drive home. I'm like, wait a second. And they're like farmers, whatever. And I backed off. We lost by 40. It didn't matter. But
was his wife pretty avid fan?
Huge fan, smoked, pregnant. Didn't matter. Tough as nails. Darn pretty to look at.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, so if you haven't checked that out, you gotta see it. So what about, to change the subject again, now that we moved from referees to youth sport players, how about since we're running Christmas movies, what Christmas movies are you gonna be watching this season? What's your number one?
Christmas Vacation. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Amen. It's got to be.
And then we will run the TBS loop of The Christmas Story. That'll kind of play on the background. If we go back to your question on hockey movies, was Happy Gilmore. The big thing is Die Hard. Is that a Christmas movie?
And I've seen Die Hard. I am not buying it as a Christmas movie. It does take place at Christmas.
Right?
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
I'm with you. Because Die Hard 2 was in the snow at the airport. Is there a Die Hard 3?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Die Hard 3, gold, right? In the. So my issue with my brain is I couldn't tell you the color of my wife's eyes. But I can tell you that in Howard the Duck, they did a loop-de-loop with Philzy, and it was the greatest movie scene of all time. It's just...
I've never seen Howard the Duck. You told me about this. I've never seen it.
We were talking at the scrimmage, and that one dad tried to tell it was part of the Marvel super hero whatever. And
it is, apparently. That's what's crazy about it.
That blows my mind.
I know it blows. But I've never seen it, I'd never heard of it. I never even heard of it. And if you want the honest truth, I've never actually seen Christmas Story.
Seriously?
I've never seen it. I don't know why. I've just never seen it. I should just watch it one of these days. I've never seen it. I know it's super famous. I know the whole
4 hours.
I know some of the highlights because you see them occasionally. I know about the leg lamp, and he gets the Red Rider or whatever and shoots things. But I've never seen the movie.
When I was younger, I had to have been grade school. We opened gifts, and my mom was like, "What's behind the TV?" And I'm like, and I raced over there, and it was Red Rider BB gun.
Nice,
just like in the movie.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would have loved to have had one of those. My mom was very anti. She would not allow it, even though we had one on the farm. She always wanted to believe that we didn't have one.
I remember we were in 8th grade, and I took the trash out, and my dad got us a 250R 3-wheeler. This thing was a death trap. He had to put a roll bar on it because we'd roll it onto ourselves and almost kill ourselves. And then we'd tie my buddy on the back with a tube, and I'd go, and I came around a corner once, and I didn't know the logistics of physics, and he came around the backside so hard, and he lapped himself into a tree. Oh, I felt terrible, just terrible. But he got up, got back on. And we
He
kept
lived.
moving.
Oh, that's pretty impressive. You're lucky you didn't kill him.
But back then it was okay. It was a
Yeah.
3-wheeler. Like we didn't even get the 4-wheeler, the stable thing. We got the 3-wheeler. It was
I don't even know how they're death traps. I mean, that's why they don't even make them anymore, because they were so dangerous.
Well, my problem, our family bought Beta, not VHS. We bought
Good.
like an Atari computer, which was absolutely terrible. We did the 3-wheeler. We were like just one off. We weren't quite committed to good things,
Hmm.
but we were committed. Like we went to
How did-
Parky's.
How did you
We
like your
bought
Pinto?
The Pinto?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They got it. They got the job done.
Before it burst into flames.
Right. But it was funny because we always had the one off. We just weren't quite like VHS took off and we're sitting with Beta. So you go to Blockbuster, you're like, where's your Beta section? It was like Porky's and one other movie.
Good movie.
I rented them.
All right.
For the
So back to the movies, though. So National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I would agree with you. Bar none, that's my favorite, all-time favorite. What's your favorite scene out of that movie?
I
mean, there's so many good ones, I know, but
think when Clark is staring out the window and he's dreaming of the pool, and then the little girl comes up, it's just
and he's like, oh.
right.
He's like trying to catch his breath.
Cousin Eddie's been just a mainstay in all of them. I think, and it's crazy that they've gone, because the original Vacation was fantastic, and then they went to Europe.
Yes,
and that was terrible. Like they won it on a game show.
Yep.
With pig noses, just absolutely terrible. And then they came back with the Christmas, and even though Big Ben Parliament is probably used more times than not when I pass anything more than once.
Yeah, I think there's so many scenes that I love. I mean, obviously when he rants, about when he gets the Jelly of the Month Club, that part is awesome. Yeah, but the part that I don't know why I like it so much, but I love when they're shopping and he and Cousin Eddie are shopping, and they're talking about things, and they're picking up the dog food. And remember, he puts the dog food up, and then he grabs the light bulbs. And he sets the light bulbs, and he just crushes them. I don't know what it is about that scene. It just makes me laugh so hard.
He goes, we'd like to get you and Evelyn some nice gifts. Get yourself something nice.
Yeah.
It's just
no, no, and he's like, no, I couldn't accept that. And he asked him like 4 times. No, I couldn't do that. No, if you don't tell me, I'm just going to go get it for the kids. Well, I do have this list here. So good.
One of my buddies gives us Christmas gifts every year. His company does some things, and he always, like this year, we got some spices and some stuff. But last year, he got all of us Blackhawk jerseys and Chicago Bear hats, and it says Griswold. So I wear the bear hat for the outfit, but I love the jersey. I wear it all. I wear it Friday. I'll wear it all day to the in-laws, and then if we stop for a gas station, I wear it in there.
Yeah,
and it's fantastic.
That's awesome. It's 00 then, right?
00. Yep.
Yeah, 00. Okay, yeah, because that's what it was in the movie too. No, that's the scene where he's wearing that too, when he has the chainsaw in the house.
Oh,
it's so good. I still
fixed.
Yeah, fix the knoll post. You ask Sarah, whenever I fix anything in the house, at any time in the year, I always say, fix the knoll post. For anything. I love it. That's so good. In the other movies, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Elf. We love Elf in our household. Home Alone is always one that's in there. But Elf is probably the other big one. I mean, that's such a classic. But there's a lot of good Christmas movies.
Yeah, we taped Elf the other day just to have it.
Nice.
Which is that one's grown on me. I don't like the old school. Like, no, I don't watch too many of those.
Like The Wonderful Life or Miracle on 34th Street. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't watch them that much. I've seen them, but it's not like it's an annual tradition. Elf and Home Alone and Christmas Vacation are definitely every year happens for sure. The kids like Home Alone. If you have not though seen the clip of Family Guy making fun of Home Alone, and you probably should Google that, where they do Home Alone in real life. It's pretty funny. So yeah, I would encourage you to check that out.
I will Google that.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Google that.
It's like a 20-second clip, and it's really, really good. So yeah, trying to think any others.
No, the only thing for future reference, and this is where we need some participation from some emails, or for those that know us can text us, is great signs and chants. There's been some stories in my day of really on top of it, people that have really hit the home run with a sign or some chants. Now there's some chants back in the high school days that we probably shouldn't talk about. Get a little more in depth into some people's lives that, but man, they were great. They were funny. The best, just to kind of give a little detail what we're looking for. A friend of mine, Paul, his daughter goes to Pulaski out here, and they played Notre Dame, and one of the Pulaski kids had a sign that says, "At least God loves us for free," and that just hits home. I can't stop laughing about it. I think it's fantastic. Just to point out the difference between God's love and an $8,000 bill. It's just fantastic.
That's awesome. I like that one. And there's some really good signs. I mean, obviously, if you watch ESPN Game Day or College Game Day, there's always some really good signs that the college kids come up with. Some really, really clever stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just pulled up a quick Google here just to kind of see. I mean, there's one that's maybe I can even share it here, but it says even your mascot is a bandwagon, which I think is awesome because it's talking about Oklahoma
Sooners.
It's like, okay, that's really clever because it is a bandwagon. But yeah, there's just some really good ones here. Let's see if I can bring this up. But yeah, if you Google this and just see all the different ones, yeah, right there, even your mascot is a bandwagon. I mean, there's just some really hilarious stuff. I skipped my court date for this. I mean, come on. But yeah, so there's some really funny ones. So it's a great point. There's some really good ones in local games in high school Wisconsin. What have you seen locally that you would be able to share with us? Because if you have something like that, we got the Instagram, the Twitter, the Facebook. Jump out there and share it with us. Let us see kind of what some great signs that you've had at your games. And I don't know, it doesn't usually happen at club sports. The only thing I've really seen at club sports is they bring those fat heads, and that's not as funny. But yeah, if you have something, let us know what you've seen.
I was thinking those fat heads though. We gotta do that, but I think we do our own fat heads, like not our daughters. Like they're fine, right? I'm talking me and you have our own fat head above us.
I'm sure they would love that.
Well, let me ask you this now on the signs and chants. Because you are involved in the student sections at different sporting events as part of your gig, what is allowed? I mean, they keep pretty good track of these kids these days, don't they? They don't like things getting out of hand.
Yeah, no, there's anything that's basically derogatory towards the other team would not be allowed. They really are not supposed to. You're not even supposed to yell out the number of the other opposing player or their name. And what's crazy, I was actually talking about this with an administrator today, how much it has changed. You think about when you and I were in high school, yeah, you would probably get after the other players a little bit, but you didn't really do that much. But now these kids, they look at the roster and then they go, okay, I'm going to look them up on social media, and then they find out their Snapchat, their Facebook, and then they find out who their parents are, and then they find out who their girlfriend is, and they find out they can find out all kinds of information. I mean, it gets really personal really fast because they can bring up and they do their pregame research. Like they'll come up with all these things prior to even stepping foot on the court. And they'll have pictures of like their mom, they'll have pictures of their dad, their grandpa, and they'll like bring it and like hold it up. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, this is way too far.
Lord.
They've turned into like professional stalkers. And so that's stuff that we actually try to kind of clamp down on because we really want it to be, hey, cheer on your team. You don't need to bring in the other team into it. Just cheer on yourself. And that's good enough. But I mean, we've had to confiscate some signs that were, I don't even know if I should probably even say them. They weren't swear words or anything, but our big rival is Wisconsin Rapids. And so, people will call them Crapids or whatever, so they'll put beat Crapids or it's just childish stuff that's, just kind of dumb. But kids get a big kick out of it. And, some of my students listen to this, so they'll probably get a kick out of it, but I just don't see the point, honestly. I don't understand why we can't just cheer on our team. But we don't have to go after everybody else. But so often now I feel like that's what a lot of people are. They're looking for that like gotcha moment, or they're trying to be funny, and they think they have to be funny by making light of somebody else. And while sometimes comedy does do that, I think there's plenty of humor without going after somebody else. So we try to get them away from that if we can.
Yeah, we saw a lot of problems in hockey when we were in high school.
Yes.
There was fighting and yelling at parents and student sections. And I mean, the sheriff used to come to our games at Notre Dame because it would be ruthless.
Yeah. Well, hockey is, of all the sports that I ever managed, hockey is by far the one that has the most problems.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's just something about the physicality of it. And, I don't know if it's because everybody's cold, they're just angry. I'm not sure, but it is definitely more problems in hockey than there is with football, with any of the other sports. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Football seems to be at least the best one because you're kind of separated by a field. They do a nice job of putting people on different sides of the field. I think hockey's pretty close to each other.
Yeah.
Basketball's on the other side.
Yeah.
Soccer, everybody sits on the same sideline, but we all stare at the same thing. So you don't even, and it's just parents, right? I haven't been to a student section yet in a soccer match, at least in our club sports.
Correct. Yes, the club sports. Yeah, we had one instance where that actually happened a couple of years ago where I don't know why, but our fans thought it was a really good idea to, after we won the game, to like charge down the sideline to the other student section, which was a really brain dead idea. I don't know why they did it, but so we had to like get in between and like push everybody back, like, hey, go back to where you're supposed to go. But yeah, it does happen. But at the club sports, yeah, we never have to worry about it because there's not really a student section. So that's one positive of a of a club sport.
Well, that's one. We found one. All right. We'll move to two.
Yeah. I'm sure there's more, but from that perspective, you don't have to worry about it as much. So, yeah.
Yeah. We did the chance. 1, 2, 3, 4, get your cattle off our floor. I mean, just their cheerleaders. I mean, and they were probably pretty good looking. I don't know why even though we said it. We tried to be all badass. When, in fact, I was a chubby one, so I think I was trying to stack myself as higher than I could, but that's all right.
Toby, you were the guy that I'm like struggling with when I'm managing these games. You're that kid.
I'd show up a little late, leave a little early, but while I was there, it'd be all gas.
No break. All gas, no break.
We'd be up by point, and I'd be yelling scoreboard. I mean, just Just having fun.
Now I know what these kids grow up to be. That's good to know. That's good. Yeah. So yeah, if you see signs, man, yeah, send us some signs. We'd love to see what they are. That'd be kind of fun to. Maybe I'll put them. I did start a little, not a blog, but it's kind of like an addendum to our podcast. And so if you want to go over to it, I just probably put a link out to that as well. We can maybe start posting some of those examples if people send them over, and we can start kind of compiling what people send in. But if you want to check that out, it's on WordPress, and it just kind of summarizes what we talk about each week. So take a peek at it if you're interested. And maybe if you send us some stuff, we can put some examples out there.
Yeah, I'm sure people have some good ones.
Yeah, for sure. Chance. Yeah, and especially if they're a chance that we can actually use today, like some of the things that the kids do, there are some clever ones. I'm trying to think of some off the top of my head, but they have some really good stuff that, it's not derogatory in any way. And it makes people laugh, and it's a good time. So I think one of the best ones is when they do that, they part the Red Sea or part the student section, and like the guy kind of comes out like Moses, and then he does the little boom, and the whole fans just split. That's a good one. I mean, that's right. That's a great one.
No, I forgot my train of thought, but yeah, you're right. They've definitely gotten more. We did scoreboard clock and things, but now they have theme nights.
Yes,
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. The only thing that I think that I've heard from students is that they tend to become a little repetitive, and now they're getting overused. But yeah, they're cool. I mean, you do the camo night, you have neon night, you got jersey night, you've got American night. There's maybe you do a whiteout or a red out or a blackout, or you can do all different kind of colors depending on your school's themes. Those are kind of cool. I mean, the kids get into them, they have a lot of fun, a lot of dress up. It kind of keeps the fans involved, and it's easy to identify the student section, or the studi, as they call it.
Well, I know when Bayport played Notre Dame, everybody dresses like a preppy, and then they dress like a hick. So I think when everybody plays Notre Dame, they dress like preppy.
Yeah, they probably should. Yeah, that's probably fair. I love it. That's awesome.
Right.
I should add lumberjack. So when we play like DC Everest, which we played tonight, they didn't do lumberjack, which is surprising, but their mascot is the evergreens. So if you're a tree mascot, lumberjacks, you got to be the lumberjacks.
That one you can get away with forever, right? There's no implications on political incorrectness on an evergreen.
I don't think so. Not yet. Give it time. It'll get there.
Yeah, I suppose in time everything gets there.
Everything's offensive.
Right. What is Spash's mascot?
Panther.
Black? Or
yes.
Spotted.
Yeah. Black Panther. Yep.
That was at UW Milwaukee. Ours was a Black Panther. And when you got up, if you didn't feel like going to class, you would yell Panther Day. And then the whole house took the day off, and we sat on the porch and drank beer.
That seems like a cop-out.
You couldn't defy it. Like, if you, I have a big day, and Matt yells Panther Day, I'm like, there it goes. Panther Day it is.
It seems like you guys wouldn't go to class that much.
For many reasons. Probably because we were academically so advanced that we didn't need to.
That's awesome. Good stuff.
A lot of fun here. Number 7. I can't believe we're down seven podcasts already.
No, I know. Episode 7 is in the books, and I think we landing the plane.
Yeah, hour 4 already. Holy cow! I don't pay attention.
Yeah, I know.
I look up.
That's I suppose. No, it's been good. Yeah, and a lot of fun stuff. So if you do have anything you want to share with us, you can send it to judgingbouncingballs at gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram at judgingbouncingballs. You can go to Twitter where it's JBB_podcast. And then on Facebook, it's Judging Bouncing Balls. And you can find us there. We would ask that if you would please go out to our YouTube stream and give us a follow and a subscribe there. The reason for that is we can actually start doing some things with YouTube once we get up to 50 subscribers, and we're getting pretty close to that right now. So if you could help us get over that hump, that would be awesome. Even if you're not maybe using YouTube as your viewing source, maybe you use Spotify or you use Apple Podcast or whatever it is, jump over to YouTube, give us a little subscribe and a like. That would help us just to be able to do certain features. Like we could actually go live with our podcast a little easier through YouTube. And so that's something that we do want to do down the road. So if you could help us out there, that would be awesome. Just to kind of allow us to have some more features. It doesn't do anything monetarily for us, but it does help us potentially do things with the podcast a little bit easier. So if you could do that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Help us out.
But otherwise, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. And get some signs and some chants. Send us everything. We'll decide if they go on the air or not. We're pretty good judges.
That's right. All right, awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. Toby, anything else to add?
That's it. Now we're going Christmas is Sunday, and then I leave for New York on Monday morning. So I think we might be off a week, unless we get together before then. We can talk about that.
Yeah, that's a great point. We probably will be, because I'm going to be we're heading down to Florida as well. So we are going to probably have a week off at least, maybe two. We'll see how it all works out, but we'll try to update that on the social medias as well.
Yeah. Will you guys travel safe? Are you driving down?
Yeah, it's going to be great. 24 straight hours.
Yeah, we're 15. We're going to Penn State College, so I think we're going to spend Monday night near Penn State. So we're going to go check out Happy Valley.
Okay, awesome.
Which I'm excited for.
Enjoy.
Yeah, and then we're going to try not to die in New York, and we'll come back. It's going to be amazing.
Well, good luck with all that. All right. Awesome. Hey, everybody, Merry Christmas. Toby, Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas with you and your family and everybody out there. We hopefully enjoy
the holiday. And we'll see you soon, hopefully. Sooner than later.
Yes. Perfect.
Awesome. All right, man. See you.
All right. Thanks.